Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've really missed those vocab packets we've been working on, so we're starting them back up again. So we took a little bit of a break from them because 9th through 11th grade were making their books and doing some Shakespeare stuff, and 12th grade was finishing up Death of a Salesman, so we just took a little bit of a break. So here we are. We're going to head back into Grammarland. So you've got a packet. Please put your name on it like I did. My name is Name. So go ahead and do that. We are going to talk about more parts of a sentence. We've talked about the basic parts, the subject and the predicate. Now we are going to talk about some of the other parts of the predicate, because the predicate is much more complicated than the subject. So first you have to decide when you see a sentence, you find the verb. Always find the verb first. So what is the verb? And then you find out, is it a linking verb or is it an action verb? And sometimes they look similar. So you're going to have to do the seem test. Remember that if you can substitute the verb for the word seem, then, or seemed, or seems, or seeming, something like that, then you know it is a linking verb instead of an action verb. So today we are going to work only with sentences with linking verbs, not with action verbs. So these are going to be stuff or things called subject complements. And these are things that complement or are linked to the subject. So there's two things that it could be. It could be an adjective, in which case we call it a predicate adjective, or it could be a noun, in which case we call it a predicate nominative. So practice saying those with me. Predicate adjective, predicate nominative. I like saying predicate nominative. It's fun. But anyway, so if we look at the first example there, the snow was heavy. So if we substitute seemed for our verb there, the snow seemed heavy. Yes, that works as a grammatically correct sentence. It makes sense, so we know it's a linking verb. So what was heavy? The snow. So that's going to be our subject. And since we have a linking verb, we need to have either a predicate adjective or a predicate nominative, because the subject has to be linked to something, or else it's not a linking verb. So the snow was what? It was heavy. And is heavy a noun or an adjective? It's an adjective. It's a describing word, so it is a predicate adjective. Then again, if you look at the second example right here, the trip became a nightmare. Became is our verb. Can we say the trip seemed to be a nightmare? Yes, we can. So we are going to have our linking verb became. Our subject is trip, and then the trip is what, or became what? It became a nightmare. And since it has an article, that's always a tip off. It's going to be a noun. It doesn't have to though. A nightmare is a noun, so it is a predicate nominative. So what you're going to do in this first exercise on this first page, numbers 1 through 20, you are going to underline the linking verbs once and the subject complements twice. So subject complement could be the predicate adjective or the predicate nominative. You don't even have to identify them just yet. I would recommend you do, just for extra practice, but you don't have to. So also be careful, because previously we were underlining subjects once and verbs twice. So now you are underlining the verbs once, not twice. And you're not underlining the subject at all. In fact, you can look back up to the examples to see how they underlined. You're doing the exact same thing they are. So, number 1, all day the sky looked threatening. Step 1 is always find the verb. Looked is the verb. So, two ways you can tell this is a linking verb. First of all, the sky isn't literally looking. It doesn't have eyes and it's looking at something, so it is a linking verb, not an action verb. Also, you can replace it with seemed. The sky seemed threatening. That makes sense, so it's a linking verb. So it needs to have a predicate adjective or predicate nominative. So looked how? Looked threatening. So threatening is a describing word. It's an adjective. That makes it a predicate adjective. So this is what I did for number 1 there. The other way. This guy, I'll show you number 1 and 2, because I did them already. So people became nervous about the weather bulletins. So the verb there is became. The subject is people because the people are the ones becoming. And they're becoming what? They're becoming nervous. Nervous is an adjective, which makes it a predicate adjective. So go ahead and finish up this page. Give the video a pause, and then we'll move on to the next page. Next page. This page you are actually going to identify what kind of subject complement it is. So there, you're also going to do the underlining. So in their example, weather is the state of the atmosphere. So that's basically just a definition of the word weather. So the verb there is, and weather is what? It is the state. So that's going to be the predicate nominative. So the first one, I'll do it with you. Hurricanes are especially dangerous storms. Hurricanes, the verb is are, and they are what? They are storms. So that would be a predicate nominative because storms is a noun. The bottom one, you're actually going to be applying what you know a little bit. It's also kind of fun because you can be creative. You are going to have the same base part of the sentence here. We've got the subject and the verb. But we don't have the predicate nominative or predicate adjective, so you're going to add one of each. So you're going to do a predicate nominative in the first blank and a predicate adjective in the second blank. You do have to do it in that order because that proves you understand the difference between the two. So the tornado was a predicate nominative. It's a storm, so it is a vicious storm. The tornado was frightening. That's an adjective to describe it. So you're just going to do that. We're going to go over this in probably about 10 minutes. So finish up the packet and we'll go over in a second.